Hey everyone, welcome once again to another episode of the Night Sky this week. And of course, this is our first full week in October 2020, on October 5th. If you're watching me on Twitch or on Facebook or perhaps on YouTube, welcome. I'm here every week sharing some of the goodness that's in the night sky wherever you are. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. Hope you had a great weekend. Did you guys get to do any sky watching? Have you been able to look at the stars and planets and constellations? There's a lot of things going on up in the heavens. I've got the chat room open. Let's see who's online here. We've got Suna from Turkey, and we've got, from Norway, Vladimiro. Nice of you to join us. Miguel from Southern California. And from Milton, Ontario, Anthony, a fellow Canuck, welcome. And yeah, please share where you're watching this broadcast from, wherever you are around the world. I love seeing folks share their experience with the night sky, and that's what I'm here about, sharing what I can have found in the night sky for the coming week, sharing that with you, hoping that maybe you can see all of them or a few of them. Some of the things that I share every week are visible with a telescope, a small backyard telescope perhaps, maybe with binoculars, and a lot of things you can see with the naked eye. And you don't have to be out in the far away from the city. You can see a lot of things within the city. And of course, this week, wherever you're watching from, Maria from Portugal, Sarah, and Natasha also. What I am going to be focusing on this week, of course, it's a jam-packed week like it always is, but of course, we'll be talking about the red planet, Mars. I don't know if you've been hiding in a rock somewhere, you haven't been paying attention. Mars is at its best in our skies for the upcoming week. Right now and for the next 10 days or so, it is like the ultimate in terms of sky watching of the red planet. And if it's something that's been on your bucket list in terms of sky watching, or you may be piqued by the interest maybe of what I'm going to tell you, this is really a great time to go out and do it and look at Mars, our neighboring world. And I'll talk more about it in a few minutes. So this is going to be interesting. And, leave your comments and questions. Of course, I'll be checking them below in the comment section, and I'll be posting sky charts and further information as the hours and days go by during this week. So let's dive in right away in terms of what we can see in the sky. So we are on Monday, October 5th. What can we see in the sky? So I've got the sky set up here using my my planetarium software, and I've got it set up for late night tonight. And what you'll see is the moon right here. I'll zoom in. You'll see the moon here low in the eastern sky. This again is set for Monday, October 5th, and that's Monday. And so if you're watching this live or you're watching this recorded, maybe perhaps on Monday, this is where you'll see the moon. Now the moon will move towards the northeast later this week, but what's really interesting is that it's very close to a brilliant star cluster, one of my favorite star clusters, and that is the Pleiades. That's right here. And you can see some of the names of the individual stars being lit up here. But you can see the moon. Again, all this action is happening in the northeast eastern part of your sky, late in the evenings, of course. And this is where there is this beautiful lineup between the moon and this star cluster. And this star cluster is called the Pleiades, also known as Messier 45. Now, Messier 45 is it's on a list of 110 objects that were created by an astronomer, 17th century astronomer called Charles Messier. This was a French comet hunter, and he basically cataloged a lot of really beautiful objects in the sky, what we call what amateur astronomers call deep sky objects. And this is one of those beauties, and it's something that you should avail yourself to look at. If you don't know where to see, the moon will guide you in seeing the Pleiades. Now, what does the Pleiades look like through binoculars and telescopes? So through a pair of binoculars, if we zoom in, you'll notice there, this is kind of the view that you'll get. Let me see if I can remove some of the taggings there for you, make it a little bit less disturbing there with all those tags. I don't like it when there's too many, but you can see this glow. There's bluish glow. This is a cluster of actually a few hundred stars. So what you're seeing in that photograph that I'm showing you, and it is a photograph pasted onto a planetarium program, that is a cluster of stars that's about 100 million years old. And what's cool is that you can see it with the naked eye as a fuzzy little blob. Through binoculars, this is about the view that you'll get. Through a telescope, you can get even a better view of it closer up like that. It's really impressive to see. You can actually get even better. You can see this nebulosity, this gas that kind of envelops, like blankets, these group of stars. Now, with the naked eye, you can see maybe 5 clustered very close. I mean, they are really tight. It looks like a little fuzzy patch in the sky. With binoculars, you can clearly discern the individual stars. And here, I'll show you a really nice, let's see if we can get a better view here of what it looks like. Here you go. This is a beautiful long exposure photograph, and you can clearly see that what we call nebulosity, the gas and dust that still kind of envelops the individual stars, because these stars are still young, meaning young, maybe about a 10 to 100 million years old. That's very young in the age of stars in their lifetime, because stars can live for hundreds of millions of years, if not billions. Like our own sun is 5 billion years old. And these stars in the Pleiades star cluster are fairly young. They're kind of teenager age, we think. And so they still have some of that nebulosity, that gas still surrounding from the birth cloud that they came into being from. So that's really a beautiful cluster, and it sits about 400 light years away from Earth. So that means that when you're looking at this, you're looking at a group of stars. This is, again, next to the moon, just above left of the moon on Monday night, October 5th. Moon acts as a great guidepost for tracking this down. It's a really beautiful sight, and it's something that you don't want to miss. The moon will act as a guidepost, and it's amazing to think that this star cluster is 430 light years away. It means it takes 430 years for the light to reach your eye. So when you're looking at this cluster, just remember, when you're looking at this cluster, you're looking at something that the light has taken 430 years to reach your eye. Isn't that amazing? It blows your mind. And it's a beautiful star cluster through binoculars and telescopes. So let's see on our chat room, folks are saying, oh, we've got Carlo from Cape Town, South Africa. That's right. You noticed the bright star next to the moon these last few nights? That's going to be planet Mars. It was an orange colored star. Then that is planet Mars. We'll be talking about that in a couple of minutes. Art's talking about astronomy apps. I'm using Sky Safari here on my MacBook Pro. And you can get, Austin's talking about, you can get moon photos of craters. Moon is closer and brighter, easier to focus on. Absolutely, you are right, Austin. Moon is a great target for beginner sky photographers and photographing through the telescope as well. It's a much more forgiving. It's a very bright object, something that you can use your smartphone, putting it up to the eyepiece of the telescope. You can do some really cool stuff. Austin says he uses the app Planets. And Pam says it was gorgeous, so bright, right to the right of the moon. Yes, so Mars was close to the moon over the weekend. Did you get to see it? Because it was beautiful, but we'll talk more about Mars in a few minutes. Now, if we flash forward, I'm going to move this later. This is around 9:30. We're going to move around 10:30. at night local time. And what you're going to be seeing, I'm going to put you over here into the planetarium program. And what you'll notice that if I switch this to days and we switch to Tuesday, by Tuesday, October 6th, this is the view what you'll get. So the moon will have jumped over next to another star cluster. And this star cluster represents the face of Taurus the bull. And you'll see a faint outline. If I kind of make this a little bit brighter for you guys, let's see if we can do the intensity. There we go. So you can see it very clearly. We've got this mythological character, Taurus the bull. It's very bright, one of the brightest zodiacal constellations in the sky. It's rising in the east late in the evenings this time of the year. And you'll see next to the moon, this V-shaped group of stars. And this V-shaped group of stars here circled for us, that it represents the face of the bull and is actually another star cluster called the Hyades star cluster. And it represents one of the closest star clusters to the Earth. And right now, the moon on Tuesday will be a great guidepost in finding the Hyades star cluster, the face of the Red Bull Taurus. So there you go. And next to the moon will be one very conspicuous star called Aldebaran. Now, Aldebaran is pins down one of the sides of the lopsided V-shaped grouping of stars right here. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see it. And that lopsided V is made up of a group of stars that are called the Hyades star cluster. And they all are part of the same cluster. They're about 150 light years away. But Aldebaran, even though Aldebaran looks like is part of the cluster, it is in fact 66 light years away. So meaning it's much closer to us, about less than half the distance of the Hyades cluster. So what all these other stars that represent this lopsided V-shaped cluster, all these others are together at 150 light years away. Meanwhile, Aldebaran, that super bright orange star that marks the orange eye or the red eye of the bull, Taurus the bull, that is 66 light years away. So when you're looking at that star, just imagine you're looking at something that has taken 66 years for that light to reach your eye. So, it's amazing. What was the world like at 66 years ago, or the main things happening in history 66 years ago when the light from Aldebaran left on its journey to reach your eye? Tonight, or in this case, Tuesday night, you would want to watch it because, of course, the moon will be right next to Aldebaran. So this is a fantastic showing of these two objects close together. The moon really nestled within the Taurus constellation. A lot of fun. So highly suggest that. Now, what else is there? Now, on Wednesday, if we zoom out on Wednesday, and don't worry, I'm getting to Mars. I know you guys are chomping at the bits about Mars, but we'll be talking about that in the next few minutes. But before we get to Mars, I wanted to sort of bring out all the other things that are happening this week. Because looking at Mars spans the entire week and into next week. So we'll leave that towards the end. But before we before we go to Mars, I wanted to mention a meteor shower. So yes, on top of everything else, there's a small minor meteor shower called the Draconids. The Draconids are not a very significant shower, and it's really all around. Let me see if I can get to it here. They're in the northwest part of the sky. There's Draco. And this is where the Draconids appear to come from. So if I just punch into my software, you'll see them. I can make them appear to be coming out from that small constellation. And you can see that is what we call the radiant. See how they're coming? They appear to be slowly moving out. Now, this isn't a major meteor shower. I'm not talking about something like the Perseids or the Geminids, which get a lot of buzz in the media because they are the best showers. Meaning, when I say a good shower, a great performing shower, it means that you see a lot of shooting stars per hour. So the rates per hour of meteors that are streaking across the sky, you could see anywhere like from 30, 40, 60, or even 100 and above per hour at peak times. Now, with the Draconids, they are what we consider a minor meteor shower, meaning that you don't see too many per hour. But here you can see in this animation where they appear to be coming from. It gets its name from the constellation that these shooting stars of the Draconids appear to be radiating out from. And in this case, they radiate out from the constellation Draco the Dragon. So this minor meteor shower, how much can you expect on Wednesday night into Thursday morning? Expect anywhere around 5 to 15 shooting stars per hour. My bets are probably you'll see on average about 10 shooting stars per hour Wednesday night. So make sure that you avoid looking at the moon, which will be in the east. Turn your back to the moon and look towards the west or northwest for most of the meteor action. Again, these are called the Draconids. Expect about 10 shooting stars per hour. If you can get to a countryside away from light pollution, you'll see a lot more shooting stars than in the city. But even in the city, you'll see a few, maybe 1 or 2 per hour. Now, what's interesting about meteors, let's not forget, when you're seeing shooting stars, all the action is happening in the upper atmosphere, right on the edge of space. So we're talking about 70, 80 kilometers above your heads, where these sand grain-sized pebbles enter the atmosphere and burn up at incredible speeds. And it's when that happens is that you see it as a shooting star, as a streak of light across the overhead skies. So with the Draconids, they're not very prevalent. You don't have a lot of them. The density isn't a lot. We actually hit a small cloud of debris left behind by a comet. That's what Earth is slamming into this cloud of debris. But it's not too many. It's not very dense, but we see about 10 shooting stars per hour, and they're very slow. They're very slow meteors. So usually they can go in a fraction of a second. They zip across the sky. This may last maybe a better part of a second or maybe a little bit more. And look out for fireballs. Whenever we hit a cloud of debris for a meteor shower that causes a shower, there are chances of actually seeing fireballs, or what technically astronomers call bolides. These are larger than grains of sand rocks and pebbles, some the size of golf balls or basketballs, and they can cause a very unusually bright meteor. The Draconids could produce those, and those would be visible from within city limits. So if you live in a typical suburb of a large city, this could be seen. Now, because Draco, the constellation where they appear to be radiating out from, is traditionally a northern constellation. It wraps around the North Star, which you can see over here. There's the little, there's Polaris, or also known as North Star. Draco, the dragon, wraps itself around the North Star. You can see here the tail of the dragon. This is a shower that's best visible for those of you that are in the northern hemisphere. So again, we're talking Wednesday night, October 8th. Mark that down on your calendar. That is when the Draconid meteor shower, this minor meteor shower where you can see anywhere from 5 to 15 shooting stars per hour, are going to be peaking. So turn your back to the moon. The moon, remember, is going to be in the east, rising as well at night. And so the later at night that you see, watch the shower, the more lunar glare you'll have to deal with. So just be aware of that. So that's really cool. Then we turn our attention to Thursday, October 9th, and the next few nights into the weekend. And that is just after sunset in the southwest, you'll be able to get your last views of the planet Mercury. So check this out. Here we have it at just after sunset. This is going to be Thursday, about a half hour after sunset. There is little Mercury in the skies. It's going to be a challenge, guys. I got to tell you, I'm not going to lie. This is an observing challenge because Mercury is going to be very close to the horizon, as you can see here. I've got it set so where there's not many mountains. So if you're in a mountainous, forested area, you really got to get out of that area find a spot where you have a clear view to the southwest horizon. About the sweet spot's going to be about 30 minutes after your local sunset. So wherever you are in the world, it's about 30 minutes after local sunset. And get that binoculars. That'll help you tremendously. And you're looking for a faint star that's going to be visible. And once you've tracked it down, if you use your binoculars, it'll make it so much more easy to see it with the naked eye. And this will probably be one of our last views in the next week or so, because Mercury's heading into conjunction with the sun. Now, what that means is, of course, the sun is down here, has set already. It will be getting closer and closer to the sun, so that we will lose Mercury in the glare of the sun until it pops back into morning view in November. So you will see, you will see Mercury now in the evening sky just after sunset. And if you don't get to see it now in the next week or so, you'll have to wait until November, when Mercury will pop onto the other side of the sun, meaning for us sky watchers here on Earth, Mercury will become a early morning dawn object to view in the east. So now we're looking in the west in the evening, just after sunset. But by November, we'll look for Mercury again, but in the early morning sky. So if you don't like to wake up early and you want to see Mercury, this is kind of your last chance for a while to be able to see Mercury in the evening skies. So check that out. Wala's asking about Venus. What about Venus? Venus, you can see, here we go. If we go into, let me see here if we can put this, I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at here. Let me put it over to the planetarium program. And we can see here, Venus high in the east nowadays. So if you're looking for Venus, Venus is high in the east, southeastern sky in the morning. So you're talking getting up early in the morning to see it. And boy, it is really brilliant. So that's something you can see in the morning skies. So, so that is a lot of stuff that you can see. And the moon isn't even finished. I'm not even finished with the moon. Check this out. So if we go back into the evening skies, and we set it to late night, watch the moon, okay? And we're going to set this into Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So watch the moon going there we go. And we'll be in Saturday. This is where Saturday and Sunday, Friday, let me just go back. Friday, here you can see the moon, I'll zoom in, is in Gemini. So those of you that are going to stay up late, you'll notice that the moon by this weekend will be pairing up with the Gemini twins. So this is a beautiful sight, because you've got two brilliant stars, Pollux and Castor, that'll be low in the east, the northeastern sky, with the moon as well. So fantastic sight on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The moon will be in the skies. Saturday being the closest to Castor and Pollux in the northeastern sky. So check that out. Friday, Saturday, really great with Gemini twins. The moon is going to be a beautiful sight as well. So why don't we turn our attention to Mars now? So if we head back into earlier this week, we'll see, here we go. If we zoom out and we look at where the moon is, the moon right now on Monday is going to be just to the left of the planet Mars. And you can't miss Mars because it has that distinct orange color. Now, why all the excitement of Mars? Because Mars is heading towards what we call opposition, which is happening officially on October 13th. So by that, I mean Mars is going to be opposite in the sky from where the sun is. So as the sun sets in the west, Mars is going to rise in the east. And Mars will dominate the entire overnight sky, traveling from east to west, and will set in the west as the sun rises in the east in the morning. So all night, overnight period, Mars will be dominating our sky. That's what we call opposition. Also, Mars happens to be at its closest to Earth at this time. And in fact, it will officially be the closest on Tuesday, October 6th. So Monday, October 5th is when we're recording this, but on October 6th is when we'll have the planet at its closest, and it will be at 61.3 million kilometers away. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but that's between planets. That's really not that much at all. So let me show you here a little video from NASA that kind of gives you a very good, quick explanation of what we're talking about here. A little YouTube video that NASA actually posted. Here we go, and I'll let this run. I'll zoom out. Zoom this whole thing up and you can see it yourself. It's a really good video. I'll put a link to it, but just a little part on the Mars, what they describe as the opposition, and they got some good graphics to go along with it as well. So check this out.
October is a great time for viewing Mars, as the planet is visible all night right now and reaches its highest point in the sky around midnight. This period of excellent visibility coincides with the event known as opposition, which occurs about every 2 years when Mars is directly on the opposite side of Earth from the Sun. This is also around the time when Mars and Earth come closest together in their orbits, meaning the red planet is at its brightest in the sky, so don't miss it. Spacecraft from several nations are currently on the way to Mars, including NASA's Mars 2020 mission, which is scheduled to land there in February. Finally.
So as you can see, that is really just a quick overview of what Mars really, why it's so exciting now, is because our two planets are really at its closest. And I can show you here on my planetarium program, if I zoom that in, get that in here, and let's see if we can get this off our screen. Let me see here. Just bear with me. So let's get back into Sky Safari, where I have Mars set up for Monday night. And you can see it doesn't matter. Every night this week into next week will be the best. So that we have about 10 days of viewing Mars really well. And if we look at it from an orbital view, this is what you get to see. There's Mars close up. But if we zoom out and you see those lines that are next to the planet, if I zoom out and show you kind of an orbital view of the entire solar system, you'll see what I mean by this view. And here I'm going to zoom above the plane of the solar system, and look at that. So you see the sun down here at the bottom, and then you have Earth and Mars. So Earth and Mars, this is set for October the 5th. But if I go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, October 13th, you see that Mars and now Earth and the sun are in perfect alignment. That is what we call opposition. And this happens on average every 2 years. However, if you look at the orbit of Mars, if I zoom out some more, you'll notice that Mars has not a perfectly circular orbit around the sun. So this means there are times when the lineup with Earth and Mars is a little bit farther than other times. This is one of the tightest distancing between the two, the least amount of space between our two planets. So what does this mean? Of course, for sky watchers, it means that we get wonderful views, and they're not always the same. So in this case, if we look at this, let me see if I can show you what I mean about this. Look at this graph. This is a really interesting graph on a Forbes article I found this morning that really shows how the moon, I should say Mars and Earth's distance between each other every 2 years changes. Even though it's the closest approach in 2 years, it's not all created equally. So you can see down here, 2020 is when we're are right now, and this is the least. So the least distance is the ones that are down here at the valleys. The peaks are the biggest distance between us. So you can see it goes in a cycle, and around every 15, 17 years or so, we get unusually close approaches of Mars to Earth. And we are here at 2020. 2 years ago in 2018, we had great viewing. And then we'll get another great viewing, equally good, in the year 2033 and 2035. So that means that you would have to wait around 15 years to get as good a view as we're going to get right now with Mars. So really, this is the best time to go and see Mars, because this distance between our two planets is really at its minimal that it can get. At 61.3 million kilometers distance between our planets, really, we get a great view of Mars. So what can you expect? If you see it with the naked eye, it looks like a brilliant orange star-like object. You won't be able to miss it. High in the southern sky, best views close to around midnight when it reaches its highest point in your local sky. As you can see here, it's in the constellation Pisces, a faint zodiacal constellation, not really much to write home about in terms of those stars, but Mars will really be just pinning down that zodiacal constellation Pisces. And if you have a small telescope, well, that's where it gets really interesting, because if you zoom in, as I'm doing here for you, you'll get to see the disk. So this is a simulated view of what you would see with Mars. And what's really neat is Mars is under high magnification. With a small backyard telescope, you can begin to see features on Mars. So the dark features like you can see here and light features mean something. In this case, if I zoom in a little bit more, this is kind of the view in a high magnification. You put a higher magnification eyepiece into the telescope, use that with it, you'll be able to get some great views of, say, the Syrtis Major formation. That's the dark formation. These are the highlands that are windswept on Mars, revealing mountains and craters that are very create this darker region that are visible through telescopes. And then you see these lighter markings. The lighter markings are the deserts of Mars. In this case, it's called the Hellas Basin, this area right here, that is going to be clearly visible, these dark blotches next to these light blotches. This is something that you can see, and very carefully, if you look, you'll be able to see in clear views this small white patch at the bottom. And you know what that is? That's the South Pole of Mars. You can actually see the carbon dioxide frozen on the South Pole of Mars. The frozen polar region is visible through a backyard telescope. It's incredible. So with the naked eye, you can clearly see the orange color of Mars. Of course, the sunlight reflecting off the iron oxide rich dust filled surface and atmosphere of Mars is incredible to see this. And this is all because our two planets are at their closest over the next week. Now, I'll be doing more broadcasts this week, hopefully joining in on some live streams through telescope views. So those of you that don't have a telescope, I want to make sure that you guys get to see something very cool, even if it's virtually. You'll get to see something about Mars. So I'm hoping to be able to come back. Stay tuned to my Facebook page, YouTube page, and on Twitch, wherever you're watching, because I'll be trying to live stream, bring in some neat broadcasts that I could share with you, and hopefully you'll get to see some really amazing things. Stay tuned in the comment section, of course, and in the timeline. If you're not following me, please subscribe if you're on YouTube and on Twitch. Make sure you follow my channel, and on Facebook, do follow me there as well, because you'll get updates on all these good stuff that's happening in the night sky, so you don't miss any of these major things. Not some things that you need giant telescopes for and that are really super hard to see, but the easier things that you and I can easily step out our backyard or in our front door and be able to see, even maybe if it's a pair of binoculars or a small telescope sometimes that enriches the view. That's just the cherry on the cake, right, guys? So thank you, everyone. Enrique, thank you for joining me. Pam, Shelly, Carol, Jerry, everywhere where you are. You guys are awesome. Make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to read through your comments. I'll be posting sky charts for everything I'm talking about, links to different things so that you can enrich your stargazing moments. Make sure you go outside for a few moments. It's a great peaceful activity. Stargazing is. It's awesome. I've been doing it for decades. I love sharing it with you guys everywhere around the world. Technology is amazing. We can connect this way. I love that you guys are so enthusiastic. Of course, if you're interested in anything more, stay tuned to my channel. So until the next video, I wish all of you guys, of course, to stay safe and healthy. And of course, I wish all of you clear skies. Until next time, bye-bye.